story's called The Garden in June by Spence. Summer is here at last. This is the time of year when the gardener can enjoy the fruits of his or her labours. Above all else, do take time to appreciate the garden and don't let it become a chore. Of course, it didn't quite work out like that. Like every optimistic gardener, I began the month with a plan. The shrub border needed attention, the lawn needed regular cuts, there were weeds to remove, pests to control, and I was determined to get everything done before the month was over. It all seemed perfectly achievable. At first. The first week brought warm, dry weather. The lawn received its first cut of the month. Unfortunately, in a burst of enthusiasm, I set the mower to its lowest setting. The grass was not impressed. It did not like the buzz cut. Even so, the garden was beginning to look cared for again. The buddleia was more than ready for a permanent home. What I thought would be a quick job soon became a battle with the ground, which was absolutely packed with stubborn roots. Lots and lots of roots. Eventually I won. The buddleia was planted at the top of the garden, fed, watered, and settled into its new home. Now there was only one more buddleia to plant at the opposite end of the garden. I was quietly optimistic. The weather, however, had other ideas. The second week arrived, and rain. Quite a lot of rain. The plants loved it. My to-do list remained optimistic. Fresh growth appeared everywhere. Even the struggling fruit tree suddenly produced a vigorous stem and several leaves. It looked wonderfully encouraging, but more about that fruit tree later. One hydrangea, which had started the month looking perfectly healthy, was clearly being eaten by some unknown nocturnal visitor. Gardening, I discovered, involves rather more detective work than I'd expected. Especially when the lawn suddenly developed dozens of perfectly circular, finger-sized holes. The third week was much busier. I installed a small bird table, which immediately attracted plenty of feathered visitors. The weeds also continued to visit. I pulled up lots of them, and they responded by sending reinforcements. By now, some of the plans had worked beautifully. Others had shown promise. And one long-term ambition proved just a little too ambitious. The laurel hedge remained exactly where it had always been, at the garden centre. Still, that's one of the pleasures of gardening. The garden always has ideas of its own. And then came the fourth week. The weather improved, and the mysterious hydrangea gobbler was finally identified. It was a slug, or perhaps several million slugs working together. The impressive new growth on the fruit tree also revealed its true identity. It wasn't a raspberry, it wasn't a blackberry, it was a nettle. Standing back, I could see how much the garden had changed. The lawn looked much happier now I'd stopped giving it military haircuts. Okay, I hear you ask, what about the mysterious holes? Almost certainly crows searching for grubs. The garden wasn't perfect. There were still weeds, and there were still jobs waiting. But it felt much happier than it had 30 days earlier. Some things had flourished, some things had failed, and some things turned out to be nettles. And tomorrow there'll be another job waiting. Because when you think about it, that's exactly how the best garden stories grow. Goodbye.